According to a study done by the Colorado Injury Control Research Center, traumatic brain injuries cost over $2.5 billion yearly for hospitals to treat. And according to the 2007 Scholarly Journal of Neurorehabilitation, 60% of all TBIs are caused by traffic accidents. Also, as stated by the Journal of Rehabilitation Psychology, 3.5 million Americans receive a TBI yearly, and over 50,000 of them will die from these injuries. Of those that survive, many will have long-lasting effects. These statistics can come as a shock, especially because generally, people do not even know TBI exists, or if they do, they don't think about it often. Traumatic brain injury is a huge issue in the United States and in the world today. The World Health Organization stated formally in 2007 that they predict TBI, specifically car accident-related TBI, to be at least the third leading cause of premature deaths among all age categories by the year 2020. Rebecca Thomas is a physical therapist as well as a certified balance and vestibular specialist at Salisbury Physical Therapy. She spoke about her knowledge and experience with TBI.
A TBI is a traumatic brain injury. So there's been damage or an injury done to the brain itself and or the spinal cord. That they can oftentimes they occur together rather than just as separate entities, and we treat them very much the same way. So every traumatic brain injury is different when it comes to symptoms that the individual has to the damage that will be done to the brain itself. Initially there's oftentimes swelling, bruising, bleeding that can occur on the brain itself, and then oftentimes that leaves kind of like a black space that'll be in the brain. And it may be in one area, there may be multiple areas from this shearing sensation that the brain can go through. There's also a very significant emotional aspect to it. Sadness, happiness, things that are unexplained, like people laughing when they're in pain. And those are some of the more common things that I've seen with treating some of these traumatic brain injuries.
Michael Peters is a longtime sufferer of a severe TBI brought on by a car accident as a teenager.
Luckily for me, the majority of my cells that were damaged had to do mostly with my physical attributes and not necessarily my mental attributes. So, I mean, I had a trouble with my memory in the beginning, but that's pretty much come back to me now. And my speech, as you can tell, has been affected, but my mental capacity has not been affected. I'm still smart as a whip.
A 17-year-old Michael Peters left a party June 4th, 1994 at 4 a.m. after a night of drinking and partying. He had 4 hours to get home, get dressed, and be back in court by 8 a.m. for his trial focusing on his 8 past traffic violations. However, he never made it home. He fell asleep behind the wheel and crashed into a tree at an excess of 80 miles per hour. His heart stopped 3 times on the way to the hospital and was in a coma for 40 days. He has never been the same since.
Basically, I have been suffering throughout my whole life, well, since my accident, been suffering because I haven't had any money to do anything with, so very hard to do anything because I can't work, I can't bring in income, and a little bit of money I get like from disability, Social Security sends me they were sending me $550 a month. Then I had some children, and now they take out child support before I see it, so I only get $108 a month. And now that I just got married, I'm not getting anything.
After years of rehabilitation after his first accident, Michael Peters was in a second serious car accident, this time destroying his legs and forever altering his ability to walk.
And I cut my legs and the knees and shattered both my legs and the knees down. So I had 8 shattered joints, 8 shattered bones in my legs and the knees down. And I was in the wheelchair, the hospital bed, the wheelchair, the walker, the cane again, all over again. And it was very hard, very difficult. But things happen and you just do what you have to do to get by, right?
Sheriff Mike Lewis of the Wacomico County Sheriff's Office has years of experience with car accidents and the traumatic brain injuries that follow.
I have seen many fatal accidents over the years, but I've seen many serious wrecks as well. Wrecks where individuals have suffered severe trauma. Don't let anyone tell you seat belts do not save lives, because they do save lives. They save lives dramatically.
Sheriff Mike Lewis is now at the end of his second term and about to begin his third four-year term on December 2nd, 2014. He has been in law enforcement for over 31 years.
I will tell you the leading cause of death today for all individuals between the ages of 15 and 24. In that bracket alone, the leading cause of death for those individuals is motor vehicle collisions. Leading cause of death. I mean, that's a pretty chilling statistic right there. I responded to a motor vehicle collision. When I got on the scene, there were two young girls that had been ejected from the car. Neither was wearing a seatbelt at the time of the collision. What I did notice is that the vehicle had a temporary tag on it. It was brand new car. In fact, she'd only had it 2 days. But these two girls had been involved in a motor vehicle collision and they had been ejected from a car. It wasn't their fault. But when I got on the scene, clearly one of them was dead. The other one was alive, and I sat down in the middle of the roadway with her. My police car had blocked the road with my overhead lights on. And I reassured this young girl that she was going to make it. She was talking to me. She didn't look to be that badly injured at all. And as I was talking with her, I'd worked my way under her head and shoulders and was lying there talking to her, reassuring her that the ambulance was on its way. I could hear the sirens coming. I knew she was going to be okay. She didn't appear to be that badly injured. And as I'm talking to her, she took her last breath of air. She died. She had severe internal brain injury that I didn't recognize initially, and it wouldn't have made any difference. There's nothing I could have done to save her. But in her hand at the time she died was a Mother's Day card that she had just bought from the Ames department store in Berlin. This was Mother's Day, and she was headed home with this Mother's Day card. And when I met with her family several days later, after her funeral, they came to collect her belongings at the Maryland State Police Barrack in Berlin. And I had to hand that Mother's Day card to the mother. And I told her, I said, this is what your daughter held in her hand when she died. You can imagine the impact that would have on any family member. But I can't emphasize the importance of wearing seatbelts. I can't emphasize the importance of no texting and using a hands-free device. It's easy to do, man. We all can do something to help one another. And that little thing could save the life of an innocent person.
Since the establishment of the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act of 1970, the goal of the organization, according to the AllGov website, is to save lives, prevent injuries, and reduce economic costs related to road traffic accidents, and approach it through a threefold strategy of public education and funding, research and safety standards, and investigations and enforcement. Robbie Pasquith of the Salisbury, Maryland Chevrolet dealership's job is to be up to date on what safety features cars nowadays have to keep you safer while driving.
First thing we're going to talk about your backup camera. Now we have a nice 8-inch display here. Besides having the camera back there, you're also going to have a distance indicator showing you how close you're getting to something. And one of the other cool features on this Suburban right here is you actually have true path. Basically, your distance indicator actually changes and shows you the actual path you're going to take as you're backing up. Another thing you want to see is how many airbags is in this vehicle. You're going to, of course, have the airbag here. You got an airbag on the passenger side. You have head curtains that pop out going down for the outboard passengers. One of the new features that are starting to be in the vehicles is the airbag that's going to pop right out the driver's side right here. And basically, if you had a side collision, when this airbag deploys, it's going to keep basically the driver and the passenger from colliding heads.
Mr. Pasquith states, however, that safety is not always a major concern among customers.
During the selling process, we do start hitting on safety, but overall I wouldn't say that customers come right to the lot and that's the first thing that they ask about. It is definitely selling features that we talk about on the vehicles, but I would think the general public automatically assumes that all vehicles are safe. And maybe they should concern themselves more, because I know with the government crash ratings on our vehicle, they're a lot higher than other manufacturers, and that kind of gets thrown to the wayside.
There are already millions of people in the United States today that have permanent side effects from a previously experienced TBI.
Many of these people fall through the cracks. They get very frustrated. Many of them become more dependent on other medications and other things that are out there, either to manage pain, for psychological benefits, for some different things. And then they no longer become productive people in our society. And most of these people want nothing more than to be independent and to be on their own.
If you want to know how I feel sad that I can't do what I used to be able to do. I feel inadequate at times, because I don't have the money to pay my bills. what if I'm not able to provide for my wife? What if I'm not able to provide for myself? I've been there before. I've been out on the street. I've been kicked out of my place and had no idea what I was going to do. It's very scary. That's a very scary time.
The Journal of Rehabilitation Psychology predicts that 3.5 million people will be diagnosed with a TBI over the next 12 months in the United States alone. Anyone can be affected by a TBI, and repercussions can last a lifetime. Experts say safer cars can help, but safer drivers are the key to reducing these numbers. For Traumatic Impact, this is Ethan Klassing.